African Queen Mo family, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for being loyal customers and loyal clients to my channel. I am a Kenyan YouTuber and also UK YouTuber based in Cardiff and also in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, currently. Today is Friday, the 15th of March, and it's the day following the passing of the judgment by the High Court of Kenya in a case involving the murder of a young lady called Monica Kimani, who was working in South Sudan with her family business. It involved her parents as well, her father specifically, who basically introduced her to one of his political friends. She was following in the footpaths of her father, who had started business in South Sudan, establishing churches with a gentleman who happened to be a politician and who helped him to establish churches in South Sudan. At the same time, he was also working before as a newspaper carrier. This is the father of Monica in the South Sudan. And I believe, he created some networks which Monica was fortunate to be introduced to and who helped her to continue to establish her business. According to my readings, Monica started by establishing beauty businesses, hair salons, and things to do with, beauty products and stuff, and stocking them in shops. And from there, she graduated towards real estate, towards furnishing apartments and furnishing maybe offices in South Sudan, where she got contracts through this general back in Juba. If you read this article, I'm going to probably send a link to the article that was written by the Nation newspaper. And it talks about Enter the General, how Monica Kimani made a fortune in Juba. Okay, so basically, Monica Kimani was in her apartment in Kilimani, where she was unfortunately stalked and eventually murdered. And I talked about that in my video of yesterday. And if you haven't watched it, I would appreciate if you go back and watch it. And in the meantime, also watch the link that I'll put at the bottom of this video on the judgment that was passed by Her Honorable Justice Grace Nzioka of the High Court of Kenya. A really phenomenal and landmark case in Kenya, which should make the High Court proud and vindicated. There's a lot of lessons to be learned about yesterday's judgment, and I think maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. So what happened is Monica's father, his name is Paul Ngarama. Basically, he used to work in South Sudan with a former warlord called Daniel Awet Akot. And he actually admitted in this article that the politician was very close to his family. Mr. Ngarama used to be a newspaper vendor in Juba, according to this article, in 2013. And he said that Mr. Akot, who rose to the rank of Lieutenant General in the Sudan People's Liberation Army and is a war veteran, helped him establish numerous churches in Rumbek, Juba, and other parts of South Sudan. So basically, they were working together, internationally, cross-border, activities between Kenyans and South Sudanese nationals. So according to the newspapers, they claimed that in the Daily Nation that Mr. Ngarama moved to South Sudan in 2007 to sell Kenyan newspapers. And soon he became well known among the Kenyan community in the country. Okay, so he used to deliver newspapers by bicycle. That is how far he started, And South Sudan is a very hot country, you people. To deliver newspapers by bicycle is not a joke. Yeah, so basically he was friendly and lived a very ordinary, simple lifestyle. So Mr. Ngarama and Mr. Awet Akot developed trust and developed friendship. There's a lot of information that we need to piece together. Do I tell you guys that in research, we need to triangulate issues. I've been doing, thinking about this all night and wondering, there's a lot of information I believe that the judge has not told us about. We were told that there were hundreds of pages, There was over 100 pages of this document, and she had a chance to review it, and I'm sure she's also done her research. And as you know, I don't know whether you know this, but judges are supported by researchers that are within the High Court, help in uncovering information about various cases. So I hope you understand that when the justice is sitting on the desk, she has reviewed material that has been put together by researchers within the judiciary. And those researchers do a thorough job. They may not even have anything to do with law, but they are actually employed as researchers to assist judges because that they have a lot of backlog, they have a lot of cases, and there's no way that one specific judge can actually rule on a matter unless it has been thoroughly investigated. So, like back to Mr. Ngarama, who is the father of Monica. In 2013, apparently this was just a year after Miss Kimani graduated from the Kenya Polytechnic, Mr. Ngarama invited her to Rumbek, which is in South Sudan, where she got a job in the governor's office. You see, the governor is a friend of Mr. Ngarama, okay, Monica's father. I guess this is the reason why the family is so pained by this murder. Because, maybe you can imagine as a father what he's probably thinking. I wish I never went to South Sudan. Why did I even introduce my daughter to all these people? Maybe if, she wasn't involved in all this business, she would be alive today. You never know what's going on in their minds. But anyway, let's just talk about it here. Now, apparently the governor really liked Monica, according to the newspaper article. He liked her so much that she was always accompanying him, and she rose through the ranks in the office of the governor. Meanwhile, the father was busy opening churches, and he opened a faith mission church and opened a branch. He opened several branches with the help of the governor. And the church has currently branches all over East Africa. So Mr. Ngarama has done well with his South Sudanese counterpart support, okay? So Mr. Akot, according to an online profile, got military training both in South Sudan and in the United States. So this gentleman, who is a friend of Mr. Ngarama, is a trained military official. He commanded the Sudanese People's Liberation Army rebel forces around Renk in northern South Sudan. So this is a very high-profile individual. Let's not go into great detail about this gentleman. What is important, though, is to talk about what Monica was doing in South Sudan and how Jowie came into this picture. So basically, according to the newspaper article, the family business dealt with courier services between Kenya and Sudan, but Monica started stocking the premises with beauty products, especially from Kenya and Uganda, which is what a lot of women do, okay? Beauty is a big industry in South Sudan and all over Africa. And so, of course, as a young lady just graduated from Kenya Polytechnic, the first thing a young person would think of, hey, let me start, a little beauty shop and let me stock this place in South Sudan. So gradually, as the business grew, she started her own interior design business in 2017 and won contracts from the government, offices, and other private organizations, okay, with the help of Mr. Akot's connections and family friends. So gradually the business grew, and she started her own interior design in 2017. This is a year before her murder. Remember, she died in 2018. Okay. And within 2 years, okay, Monica had already started purchasing properties in Nairobi, Ruiru, and Syokimau. She had also bought her mother a car and had already ordered one for her father. She was doing well, okay? She used to travel to Kenya at least twice a month because she had properties in Nairobi, but also to check on Mr. Akot's properties in Nairobi, Kilimani, and Kileleshwa areas. So Mr. Akot also had properties in Kilimani and Kileleshwa areas. Now, according to this article, we continue to read, and this is by the Daily Nation newspaper. Let me see, what date was this? Well, I'm looking at it online. When was this? It was updated. It was Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018, updated on June 20th, 2020. Okay. So I believe, this particular article was written probably following her murder. And I believe it must have been an investigative piece of some sort, and it was written by the Nation newspaper. It doesn't actually state, it says by Nation Reporter. Nation Reporter, we don't know who that is. Okay. So let's continue about the story. It's a very interesting story of Monica. We talked about the fact that the family was dealing in the courier business. She was in the beauty business. Now she's in real estate, and she has properties in Syokimau and in Ruiru. And this gentleman that she works for, the governor, has properties in Kileleshwa and Kilimani. And remember that she was murdered in a flat in Kilimani. We don't know, whether there's any connection or not. We don't know. We don't know, whether she was staying in his apartment or whether she was staying in which apartment or whose apartment she was staying in. But we know that she was staying in Kilimani, and that's where she was murdered. All right, so she had bought her mom a car and she had ordered one for her dad, okay? She was doing really, really well. Can you imagine? This is the reason why the justice kept referring to the fact that this was the family's only business. So the father started off as a newspaper vendor. He graduated towards, establishing churches. and that's now establishing churches all over East Africa. Monica, on the other hand, was doing her beauty business. She was also doing interior design, and she now had purchased properties. Okay, so you can imagine that this case has taken 6 years, and how much money probably the family has used so far, to ensure that this investigation continues throughout the 6 years and that their daughter is not forgotten. And this reminds me of a story of a British lady who was also murdered, and her name was Julie Ward. Her father was a multi-millionaire, probably a billionaire in the UK, and unfortunately he died, trying to solve the murder of his daughter, who had actually come on tourism in Kenya. She was murdered out somewhere in the Masai Mara area, long ago. All right, and this was many years ago, and this is not to frighten any tourists, okay, because the security in Kenya now is pretty tight. But I do remember that Julie Ward's father, spent a lot of money, a lot of money. And then eventually it was found that very, very high level people were involved in the murder of Julie Ward. So, in this particular case, I'm sure Monica Kimani's parents have used a lot of money. And apart from money, the psychological trauma on this family is huge. So let's continue now. This is very interesting, guys. Not trying to divert our attention away from yesterday's judgment is probably to answer many of the questions that Kenyans have, like, what was Monica doing in South Sudan? What is the significance of the money that was lost by the family? Who was she involved with in South Sudan? What was she doing in Kilimani? So many questions, What was she doing in Kenya if she was working in South Sudan in the first place, in 2018? And when did she go to South Sudan? So we know that she graduated and then she went to South Sudan in 2013. So she had already been there for how many years? Could we say 5 years? The father introduced her to his business associate in 2013, which was a year after she graduated from Polytechnic. So she graduated from the Polytechnic in 2012, went to South Sudan in 2013. All right. She came to Kenya often, at least twice a month. Yeah. So she was coming to Kenya often because she was doing business, cross-border business. So her friends in Juba believe that she had traveled to Kenya most likely on Wednesday the 19th. Let's see here. Yeah, on Wednesday like the 19th with large amount of money, cash, because Kenyan banks operating in Juba usually take time to clear transactions. So most likely she was holding cash on her. Because, of course, the banks in South Sudan, take long to clear transactions. And that's actually very true because South Sudan, as we know, has its own security problems. I don't know whether you know this, but South Sudan is one of the most difficult countries to work in. I know it's a very difficult country to work in. The banks usually take time to clear money, and many of the times they don't even have, foreign exchange. So it's probably easier just to, carry money on you, come with it on a little flight to Nairobi. All right, so Miss Kimani was killed on the night of Wednesday, September 19th and 20th. But apparently no money was actually found in her apartment or in her or even in the house of Jackie Maribe. Okay, Jackie Maribe happened to be dating this gentleman called Jowie. So apparently her brother, George Thyro, is the person who found her body on Thursday, the day after she had arrived, after he failed to reach her on the phone. So you see, she's the only daughter of the family, the only sister of Mr. Thyro, okay, George Thyro. And George was like, hey, why is my sister not picking up the phone? She's come. If you know how your sibling works, you always want to go and check on her and see whether she's doing okay. Okay, and I believe, as a sibling, you have a sixth sense about your sister or about a member of your family. You want to go and check. Sometimes also myself, if I don't hear from a member of my family, I'll pick up the phone and wonder, hey, where are they? And if they don't pick up the phone, I will try and go and check on them. So Mr. George Thyro found her body on Thursday after he failed to reach her on the phone for 2 days, and she failed to turn up at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where she was set to take a flight to Dubai on holiday. So poor girl, she was coming through Nairobi, spend one night, and then head off to Dubai. So she's not at the airport. She didn't pick up her phone. So he says, let me go and check on my sister at home. All right. So what happens now is that, so when he found her body, in the bathtub, with the slow slit, I can just imagine what it did to him. And this is the reason why we heard from the justice again that this man, George Thyro, works from home, doesn't go out, because he's completely traumatized by this murder and the way in which she died. This was a very gruesome, gruesome, gruesome thing, you know, for a member of the family to find your sister or your brother in a bathtub murdered in this way. It's really unfair, and we should really focus on the victims and the sufferers and stop always focusing too much on those people who committed the crime, except to try to understand perhaps what is the motive. So people are now asking, what is the motive for the murder of Monica? Why would she be killed, you know? According to this newspaper article, again, they said the 3 suspects were in police custody as detectives conducted investigations. But investigators were unsure about the possibility. We heard that Jowie was in the apartment and that he attempted suicide by shooting himself in the chest. All right? And the investigators were not sure about the possibility that Mr. Irungu attempted suicide. Because of the angle at which the bullet entered his chest, they also believe Mr. Irungu and Mr. Kasaine may have been together on the night of the shooting. Now, who is Mr. Kasaine? Regarding the issue of the fact that Jowie actually, had a bullet hole in his chest, investigators were not sure about the possibility that Mr. Irungu actually attempted suicide because of the angle at which the bullet entered his chest. They also believe Mr. Irungu may have been, and somebody else called Mr. Kasaine, may have been together during the night of that shooting. Accounts by 3 suspects in custody about what happened on the day did not tally. The police source added that Monica Kimani, Joseph Irungu, and Mr. Kasaine attended the Kenya Polytechnic together, and that the 3 were friends and met Miss Maribe on several occasions. Okay. So it looks like Brian Kasaine, who actually happens to be Jowie's best friend, okay? According to another article by Citizen on October the 8th, 2018, there's another article which talks about this gentleman called Brian Kasaine, who is Jowie Irungu and Jackie Maribe's friend, okay? And also, he happens to be Jackie Maribe's neighbor at the time. All right. So it says Mr. Brian Kasaine Spira, the best friend of Mr. Joseph Irungu Jowie and TV anchor Jackie Maribe, has turned state witness, according to the nation's law enforcement sources. On Monday, Director of Public Prosecutions Nurdin Haji, this was in 2018, okay, gave consent to the prosecution of Mr. Irungu and Miss Maribe for murder in the death of Miss Monica Kimani on the night of September 19th. It has been widely speculated that Miss Maribe would face the lesser charge of accessory to murder, but it appears investigators and prosecutors want to leave the job of determining the extent of culpability, if any, to the courts. So according to the then Director of Public Prosecution, Nurdin Haji, he gave consent for the prosecution of Jowie and Jackie Maribe for the murder in the death of Miss Monica Kimani on the night of September 19th. It was expected that Jackie Maribe would face the lesser charge of accessory to murder, but it appears investigators and prosecutors want to leave the job of determining the extent of culpability, if any, to the courts. You see, insufficient evidence can prevent a judge from convicting a defendant in a crime. They did not provide sufficient evidence for the judge to convict Jackie Maribe of a crime, okay? Because it has to be ruled beyond any reasonable doubt. What is reasonable doubt? Is a legal terminology referring to insufficient evidence that prevents a judge or jury from convicting a defendant of a crime. It is a traditional standard of proof that must be exceeded to secure a guilty verdict in a criminal case in a court of law. Okay, so this is the reason why it is very, very important for one to ensure that they have the right lawyers, that they have the right people who are defending them, okay? That they have the right defendants. If you're able to cast any sort of doubt as a lawyer, then you are considered to be one of the best lawyers, okay? Because the judge cannot convict a person of a crime without those 3 burdens. How to prove the 3 burdens? The 3 burdens of reasonable doubt. is the difference between the belief, what you believe, and what is certain. Okay? It is about the issue of declaring unreasonable doubt, exculpatory evidence, and other standards of proof. Okay? So, that's the thing. Presumption of innocence. And why is reasonable doubt important? It is important because it aims to reduce the chances of an innocent person being convicted. The reasonable doubt standard aims to reduce the chance of an innocent person being convicted of a crime. Criminal cases can result in hefty convictions, like we saw yesterday with the death sentence of Jowie. So the judge is convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that Jowie is guilty of this crime. She is convicted, but she is not convicted beyond any reasonable doubt that Jackie was an accessory to the murder. There was no proof of that, even if the DPP have made that recommendation that she be tried as an accessory to murder. The justice in this case was unable to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Jackie Maribe was an accessory to this murder. And the reason why, I may not know for sure, but I believe that definitely her lawyers have something to do with it. And who is her lawyer is the question. It's good to know. Okay, so let's go back to now. Why Jowie? Oh, excuse me, I hope you're not hearing me on my little mousey. I found myself a very nice place to have both my computer and also be able to talk to you about this issue, guys. Yeah. All right, so I'm sitting actually right in front of my kitchen, and I've got a little nice ledge, and it's quite comfortable. I think I'll show you where I am sitting. You see where I'm sitting? Yeah, here I am on my comp, right here. Okay. Just in case you're wondering what I'm doing and where I am, I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope this is not too heavy a subject for you. I know my African Queen Mo subscribers like me to discuss issues of importance, and this is why I'm discussing it. I'm trying to make it not get too long, but now you know what Monica was doing in South Sudan. You know that she was killed, on Wednesday, September the 19th of 2018, but you know that she was actually heading to Dubai on holiday, and her brother did not find her at the airport, and when he didn't hear from her, he went to check on her and found her that she had been killed. Very, very sad. Very, very sad, Very sorry for the family. Extremely sorry for this family, So now there's something I want us to piece together. There's another question that was asked. Is Jowie really guilty? And for those people who believe that he's not guilty at all and they believe the mother that he did not kill, okay, that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. And for those people who believe that he may have done this terrible thing, but he was not alone and that he was part of a syndicate or that he was doing it on behalf of somebody else. Now, let's do a little bit of investigation about who this Jowie Kimani is. According to the Star newspaper article, I'm looking at various newspapers, guys, and this is online. It was published in the Star. I'm trying to look for the date when it was published. On 20th November 2019. What? On 20th November 2019, a year after her murder, this is in the news here, there is an article about Monica Kimani told friend Jowie was an Interpol officer. This is just hearsay, okay? And this is from the newspapers. This is not from me. This is from the newspapers. Who wrote this article? This lady is called Annette Wambua. She wrote this article, and in summary, what it says is that witnesses say Jowie seemed comfortable in Kilimani house. So Jowie saying that he did not know who Monica was already is a red flag for the justice. But according to witnesses, they say that Jowie seemed very comfortable in the Kilimani house when he visited. How would you be comfortable in a stranger's house unless you know the person? So this is the summary. Monica told Omondi that Jowie was a security expert working with Interpol. You know who Interpol is? Interpol means international police. Okay? And in the office of the president. That is what, according to this newspaper article, it says Monica told Omondi, whoever Omondi is, that Jowie was a security expert working with Interpol and in the office of the president. Omondi had gone to her house to pick a parcel. So the late Monica Kimani introduced Joseph Irungu, alias Jowie, to her friend as a security expert working for Interpol and the Office of the President. So Lee Omondi testified, okay, this is according to Lee Omondi's testimony, on Tuesday in Monica's murder case, in which Jowie has been charged alongside his former fiancée, Jackie Maribe, told Justice James Wakianga that he went to Monica's house on September 19, 2018 to collect documents from her and met Jowie, who was introduced to him as Joe and a neighbor by the name Walid. Monica told him that Jowie was a security expert working with Interpol and in the Office of the President. Walid was introduced as a neighbor who had come to see her after she had got back from Juba, South Sudan. Omondi said the Joe he was introduced to was Jowie. He identified him in court, and Jowie is the first accused in the case. Omondi said he had positively identified him at the police station during an identification parade. So this is Omondi who came to pick up a parcel from Monica during the day on the 19th, all right, the day that she was killed. That day that she was killed, there was somebody who came to her house to pick up a parcel. And don't forget that the father, Monica's father, was involved in parcel collection. These are people who have been working together. This Omondi was working in South Sudan. So maybe he was working with the family, we don't know. Okay, but this is somebody who is well known to Monica. For Monica to reveal that this is somebody who's working for the Interpol, it has to be somebody that she knew. So this is part of the investigation that you guys, many of us, were not aware of, we're not privy to, we're not even. I'm just checking to see. Sorry, whether my I'm checking to see whether my microphone is connected. So this is information, pieces of information that we don't have and we did not hear yesterday. Okay, in the short judgment. But of course, the judgment is based on a very long case that has been going on since 2019 till today. So this was in 2020 where this gentleman was testifying in front of the Justice James Waldaga. So Jowie had allegedly responded that he was coming from an operation somewhere in Lamu and had to blend in. He said Jowie was wearing a white gown, a grey blazer, and a red Tagivia Muslim skull cap. So Monica told him she wondered why Jowie was wearing a gown. He'd never puts on a gown, but today he did. He quoted Monica as having said. So Monica was actually quite surprised to see Jowie wearing that gown. So who was Jowie really working for? Really, what was he working for? So Jowie had allegedly responded that he was coming from an operation somewhere in Lamu and had to blend in. Had to blend in how? Omondi said Jowie told him he had a house in Isli for purposes of an operation he was conducting. When Omondi arrived, Monica offered him a drink and he asked for whiskey instead of wine that Monica and Walid were drinking. So Monica was drinking wine with this gentleman called Walid, the neighbor. This businessman, Omondi, had gone to pick a package Monica had brought from South Sudan for him. As they drank, they had small talk as they watched news and commented on various issues, including security. Omondi said he took interest in Jowie because of the security issues he kept raising. Jowie was busy raising security issues. At some point, we talked of the security situation in the country and Jowie offered to help me get a firearm in whichever way, and that's when I confirmed he worked as a security officer. They also discussed Monica's trip to Dubai, where she was to clear a consignment for UNICEF. It was scheduled for the following day. So she was working even for the United Nations. I mean, this girl was working at high level. She was working the clearing. She was doing clearing and forwarding. Okay. So Omondi said Jowie seemed comfortable and would refill his drink and look for things in the kitchen. The court heard that Walid was the first to leave the apartment. So Monica was left with Jowie. Then, this is what Omondi said. I stayed for a bit after Walid left. I excused myself to leave, and Monica noted that even Joe is following you now. Omondi said. So, Monica had actually told Omondi that Jowie was following him after that. Omondi casually commented that Jowie would stay over because the house was big enough. He left at 10:45 p.m. and Monica did not escort him downstairs. 10:45 p.m. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This thing, you guys, let me not joke. This is not a joke. A day later, he was unable to get in touch with Monica. This led him to believe that Monica had left for Dubai. This is on Monday. Only to be informed the following day that she had been killed. During cross-examination, he rejected claims by the defense that he was dating Monica while they were in Juba, insisting that they were just friends. He also denied claims by the defense that Monica's brother had sent him Jowie's photos on WhatsApp a day before he identified him on a parade. Okay, so anyway, so there's another witness, by the way, guys. John Otieno, a taxi driver, said he picked Monica from the airport in the evening. On the way, Monica spoke to two people. One was a border rider and the other was to deliver food. Otieno said he saw Monica hand over an envelope with an unknown content to the rider. He later dropped her at Lemuria Gardens and left the compound. Based on their testimonies, none of the witnesses registered at the gate when they got to the apartment. None of the witnesses registered at the gate when they got to the apartment. Otieno further said he was not sure if he registered with the guards on his way out. He was in a hurry to pick up another client after receiving a request. So based on the testimonies, none of the witnesses registered at the gate when they got into the apartment. Otieno further said that he was not sure whether he registered with the guards on the way out, as he was in a hurry. So you can see, guys, that this gentleman called Jowie, who claimed not to have known Monica, actually was sitting having a drink with him, together with Monica's, business partner, Mr. Omondi, and even having discussions about, what he was wearing a red beret, wearing a white outfit, talking about coming from Lamu, talking about, offering to, to help him get a firearm at whatever cost. And then he starts saying he doesn't know Monica. And you guys really believe that this guy did not kill Monica and he was the last person in the apartment with Monica? Are you guys serious? Are you guys serious? Are you people serious? I want to tie these loose ends for you because you guys do not read. What we're going to look at is the lies that Jowie told. Jowie told a lot of lies, by the way. The first lie that he told was that he had never seen Monica and he didn't know who she was. Apparently, what we came to find out is that they went to the same school, Kenya Polytechnic, together with her and Jowie's best friend, Brian. So the three of them were in the same school, in the same university. Not only that, Jowie and Monica were in the same class. The second lie that he told was that he was shot by robbers or by people that he didn't know. Fact is that he actually went back to the same police after telling them that and actually recanted what he said. And he said, actually, I shot myself. This guy is just a cheat, So because of this inconsistency, he was so inconsistent all the time, yeah? And then, and he was also always adding information here and there. He would tell his friend, he would call his friend in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and say, do you have any flammable materials, such as paraffin, aerosol spray, air freshener? And then the friend would say, what for? And he says, oh, there's some things I just want to burn. No, he says, apparently one of my friends was involved in a stabbing. And there's something I want to burn. I'm like, what? So the friend goes later in the afternoon to his house, finds him in a pensive mood in the same tunic that he's wearing, a white tunic, sitting pensively. And he asks him, why were you calling me in the middle of the night? He says, oh, because there's some things I just needed to burn. We were somewhere working and there's some things I just needed to burn. Apparently so-and-so was involved in a stabbing. And he mentioned the name. And that information is in the newspapers. Those of you need to go in there and find out. Who did Jowie say that he was with? All that information is in the newspapers, right? So Jowie was very inconsistent. The same thing with Jackie Maribe. She was also covering up for him. And in fact, Jackie, according to the DPP, Director for Public Prosecutions at the time, Haji Nuruddin, he said that the two of them have a case to answer. The same thing with the current justice, Grace Nzioka, also said that these two have a case to answer. And the same thing was said by the the chief investigator that the two of them have a case to answer. But apparently, Jackie was booked in for the wrong thing. She was booked in for whether she was actually there at the crime scene. And that was not the issue. The issue is not about whether she was at the crime scene or not. The question is, what did she tell the police? What did she tell the investigators? And was it true or was it not? And yet, you know, she was living together with this gentleman. She was living together with Jowie for a year. So at this time, they were living together. Her car was used in the crime. It was seen at the apartment. It was also seen at, you know, with Jowie. It was with Jowie the whole time. Her phone, even her phone, by the way, was picked up. Her phone signal was picked up, you know, and her phone apparently was switched off at the exact time that Monica apparently lost her life. So there's a lot of gaps, missing information. But the most important thing you need to realize, people, is that the burden of proof is with the prosecutor. The burden of proof is with the prosecutor. You, as a prosecutor, need to know. You need to establish the client's situation. The lawyers representing the prosecution. Yeah. So the burden of proof is with them. So if they did not do a good job, I think that Jackie Maribe had the right people in her corner. She had the right kind of support in her corner, so that she managed to get off the hook on the basis that there was not adequate evidence, or the evidence was not beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah. So the justice has to establish that beyond reasonable doubt, beyond any reasonable doubt, Jackie Maribe was there at the vicinity, at the crime scene. One of the main reasons why, apart from what they call, circumstantial evidence, there's the DNA. Apparently, the prosecution said that the DNA test results placed Joseph Irungu, alias Jowie, in the house of the deceased businesswoman, Monica Kimani, despite him denying knowing her. So you see, they put all this information together. You say you don't know this person, but why is it that her blood is on your clothes? Yeah? According to the prosecution, Jowie and his then partner, Jackie Maribe, attempted to conceal evidence by burning the kanzu, which is basically the tunic cloth that the first accused was seen with at the Lemuria Gardens apartments. Monica was found dead in her apartment, and the post-mortem results, witness testimonies, show that she did not die of a natural or accidental death. The prosecution argues that Jackie Maribe, needs to be convicted alongside Jowie because she never gave an alibi evidence, and she failed to prove where she was when the murder happened. Jackie Maribe failed to prove where she was when the murder happened. Yeah? Her whereabouts. So as many of you guys watch this program called ID, Investigation Discovery. I think it's called Investigation Discovery. Yeah, channel. I was addicted to that channel at one time. I used to find it so intriguing. We have now an opportunity as Kenyans and as Africans, to investigate cases such as this and to follow them, and even to make them series on television so that we can learn from them and future generations can learn from them. At the same time, I believe that these kinds of cases, when they are well prosecuted, when the judgment is fair, they can serve as very good lessons and teachings for the society and ways to deter this type of action, this type of behavior amongst our people and keep our people safe. All right. This thing is a bit longer, much, much longer than I had planned, but I'm hoping that you're going to take time, because it's a weekend, to listen to me. Because I'm very smart, I'm very smart. And very soon I'm going to be playing you a very beautiful song. At the end of this video, please don't miss the song that I'm going to play for you, because it's right now we're focusing on women. I'm focusing right now on Monica as a woman, as a businesswoman. I'm also focusing on the justice. Okay? Justice Grace Nzioka, who came to the conclusion that there was only one suspect, and that's Jowie. Yes. So, here we go. There is a post by somebody called Lillian Nganga. Lillian Nganga posted on Twitter, Jowie, a trained security person, would have been keen to cover his tracks, especially if it was a premeditated murder. He did not. Why? I guess we will never know. Also, the things that love make us do. So, people are questioning, is this thing a love triangle? Is it a love thing? If he was really a security officer, why didn't he cover his tracks? Well, people do get careless. Yeah, we don't know. We don't really know. We don't really know whether he was in this alone or whether he was together with someone else or whether he let somebody else into the flat. After all, we can see that the security was rather lax at the flat. People were coming in and out. Nobody's checking. This is the reason why security guards in flats and apartments, please record the number plates. Make sure that they record the number plates of everybody coming in and going out. Now we have phones. There's no excuse, even just take a picture. Okay? Please make sure you pay your security guards very well and look after them very well because they are your lifeline. Literally. They are. Now, let me explain to you something else that I'm thinking of as me, African Queen Maureen Mangati Nyakbo. All right? This is something else that hasn't come up from anyone anywhere, but I want to bring to your attention one thing. There's a question I asked myself about something to do with what about if Jowie is part of a secret society? What about if he is part of a what you call quote-unquote mafia gang? Do you think that he could be sworn to secrecy? A lot of men especially, or even some women, but a lot of men especially, those ones who are very empathetic with him and with his mother and all that. And I understand, yeah. It's painful to see somebody being sentenced to death, especially if you believe that he's really innocent, especially if you as a person cannot even imagine killing somebody. You'll be like, no, my mother would stand for me. No. Not everybody will agree, okay, on the fact that Jowie is guilty. And that's fair. So, for you people who are asking, why would somebody actually kill on behalf of somebody else and take their burden? Like the way Jesus carried, quote unquote, carried our sins on the cross. Why would a human being do this? All right. I came across some other very important information for you that might be of interest to you. If you will be caring to listen for a few more minutes. And this is the issue. There is a principle called OMERTA, Omerta. And this principle, I found it in Wikipedia. Okay, it's a code. It's a basic code. And it is a code that one must not seek aid from legally constituted authorities to settle personal grievances. So let's just imagine that the legally constituted authority would be the police, would be the judiciary, You're not allowed to seek aid or support or help from anyone. You're supposed to be independent. So, omerta implies the categorical prohibition of cooperation with the state authorities or reliance on its services, even when one has been a victim of a crime. So a person should absolutely avoid interfering in the business of others and should not inform the authorities of a crime under any circumstances. But it is justified that one can take personal revenge in a physical attack on himself or on his family by what is called vendetta. So omerta comes with vendetta. Vendetta is revenge, but you can take it on your own. But don't expect the state to take revenge on your behalf. So omerta, okay, is an extreme form of loyalty and solidarity in the face of authority. One of the absolute tenets of it is deeply demeaning and shameful to betray even one's deadliest enemy to the authorities. For that reason, many mafia-related crimes go unsolved. So, Jowie could be exhibiting this extreme form of loyalty and solidarity in the face of authority. Because the consequences are like this. It is disastrous in a wounded man to betray the name of his assailant. Because if he recovers, he must naturally expect to take vengeance himself. So if he were to betray anyone, okay, just we're just assuming that if he were to betray anybody, that assailant will take vengeance. And there's another very interesting thing. Yeah, that either way, the result is not good. Either way. Because they say, even if somebody is convicted, this is very important, guys. Even if somebody is convicted of a crime that he has not committed, he is supposed to serve the sentence rather than give the police information about the real criminal, even if the criminal has nothing to do with the mafia. So, the mafia culture, breaking a murder is punishable by death. So, guys, whether it is the court sentencing him to death, or whether it is him going and revealing who is the criminal, they all result in the same thing. And this, in my view, is probably the reason why Jowie said it's better to say nothing at this point and just to ask for leniency in the sentencing. Yeah? He asked for a custodial sentence. A custodial sentence, I guess, would mean, if I could think of English, a custodial means where, life imprisonment or something like that, rather than death. But he was given the death sentence. Even if we know in Kenya, most likely he will not be killed. Most likely he will probably serve a life sentence, who knows, in jail. But if the law was ever to be changed back, and it would be punishable by death, yeah, he could actually face the electric chair or face, proper death. So I hope that has helped you guys to answer a few questions or maybe opened up a Pandora's box. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you so much for your time. And now I leave you with this lovely song that was written by a gentleman, to remind us about the importance of empowering girls and women. And this does not mean disempowering men. This is about empowering your daughters. Let's put it this way. Let's not say girls and women. Empowering your sisters and daughters. Yeah, let's empower them. Let's empower women. I really hope that you enjoy my show. I hope you like my analysis. I'm going to get very serious about my analysis here. I have decided to dedicate this month to women's issues. So if you have any women's stories or any women's issues to discuss, please come to me. There's this one gentleman who came and he introduced himself as Sobada. And he has a very beautiful song here. And he has allowed me to use it in my channel. And therefore, he calls himself, he says, the fight for women's rights should not be the work of women. This is his view, Mr. Sobada. He's my Facebook friend. The fight for women's rights should not be the work of women alone, because when women win, we all benefit. The song is to add to the many voices of individuals and governmental organizations who are fighting for women's rights and that of young girls in Africa. We all have a role to play in making the world a better place, so gender should not be a barrier. I love Facebook friends like these. This is my Facebook friend. His name is Godfred Erian, but he is popularly known as King Sobada. So let's listen to King Sobada's song and watch his video. And thank you very much, guys. At the end of that, all I can say is thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being here. And please remember to share my video. It's important to share it. I'm one of the very few women analysts online, and I'm getting serious with my analysis. And I need you to support me. I need you to watch, and I need you to thumbs up. I need you to make comments, because that way my video is going to be recommended to other people. You know that. I know that. Love you very much. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. To-do.
The King of Sobada, 2020 and beyond. I imagine Africa will be if women are given the opportunity. This is the time to balance the gender inequality and stop discriminating against women who are in the sinful majority. For the sake of humanity, let's give our women the opportunity, cause they have the capacity to lift the continent from poverty. Africa, give women the opportunity. Africa, give women the opportunity. Africa, give women the opportunity. We are guilty of discrimination in terms of women participation. So let's invest in girls' education so we can increase their representation. Empower the African women to do their best for their nation, so because they have the capacity to lift this continent from poverty. Africa, give women the opportunity. Africa, give women the opportunity. Africa, give women the opportunity. It is so sad, it is so painful. African women have no reputation, even in their quest to serve their nations. Face opposition, discrimination, they go through intimidation, humiliation, and sometimes condemnation. But now, let me tell you, the African woman you see is capable, so make you give her the maximum respect. Never ever underrate and attribute all the hard work to sex. In fact, if we really want to progress Africa, then let us involve them. Let's revise our lessons and change the negative perception that the place for the woman is always the kitchen, but the woman might be seen as a blessing, also as somebody who can do more things. Don't forget, what is good for goose is also good for the gander. Remember, what a man can do, a woman can do it and do it better. This is not a matter of competition, but at least there should be a collaboration. Let us involve our women in decision making and give recognition to their contribution. Africa leaders, this is the time for you to pay attention to their child education, because that is the only way you can save the future generation. Let us collaborate and change things for the better. But if our women continue to suffer, I bet you we may not go far. The whole of Africa must think about this. My name is You are the African woman. I wish you congratulations. Continue to shine and be the light and show the way. Make you not worry, one day will be your day. Africa, give women the opportunity. 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 Africa, give women the opportunity.